Have you ever heard of the Filipino water-powered car or the fluorescent lamp by Agapito Flores? These stories, half legend, half truth, speak of Filipino ingenuity and dreams. They remind us that our people have always been dreamers and creators. But many of these tales blur the line between fact and fiction. Yet there's one story that isn't just a legend. A real documented chapter almost lost to time. This isn't about a car that runs on water. It's about a machine built to touch the sky. The story of Project Hurricane, the Philippines' secret rocket program. Born in a time of ambition and change, it united some of the country's brightest minds. They worked in secret, driven by a vision of a self-reliant Philippines. Their goal? To prove Filipino science could compete globally, even with limited resources. Project Hurricane was a government-backed effort to build the country's first rockets. While the world looked to the stars, a small Filipino team aimed to join them, not as spectators, but as pioneers. Their work was a quiet revolution, hidden from public view. Let's travel back to a time when the Philippines was searching for its place in a changing world. We'll uncover why this project began, meet the people behind it, and explore the science and challenges they faced. This is more than a history lesson. It's a journey into a forgotten corner of the Filipino spirit, a story of hope, struggle, and a dream that soared before falling back to Earth. Join me as we uncover the secret of the Hurricane rocket, a story you never heard in school. Let's begin. Why would the Philippines, a developing nation, build rockets? The answer: pride, curiosity, and self-defense. In the early 1970s, the Cold War loomed. The Philippines, under President Marcos, wanted to be more than a follower. Building a rocket was a symbol of technological power and independence. The global space race inspired Filipino scientists. They wanted to be part of this new era. A local rocketry program would push the boundaries of science and education, creating a new generation of experts. There was also a practical reason: defense. As an archipelago, defending the Philippines is a challenge. Rockets could help monitor weather and serve as a deterrent. This dual purpose, science and security, made the project attractive to leaders. It was about national identity, pushing limits, and protecting the homeland. The Hurricane rocket was meant to be a symbol of a self-reliant Filipino nation. It wasn't just a vanity project, it was seen as a step toward controlling our own destiny. The dream, a Philippines that was both politically and technologically independent. Project Hurricane was the first bold step. It was a statement: we too could reach for the sky. The project was ambitious, but it was also necessary for a nation seeking its place in the world. The Hurricane rocket was more than metal and fuel. It was a declaration of intent. For a brief moment, the Philippines aimed to join the ranks of nations that dared to dream big. And that dream began with a single launch. Project Hurricane was born in the early 1970s, a time of martial law and bold government projects. The government's vision of a new society called for discipline, progress, and self-sufficiency. Project Hurricane fit perfectly into this narrative of national greatness. The main site for the project wasn't a city or major base, but Caballo Island, a remote, rocky outpost near Manila Bay. Its isolation made it the perfect secret launch pad. With martial law, projects deemed vital for national security could move quickly and quietly. The military, especially the Philippine Navy, partnered with civilian scientists. The Navy provided discipline and logistics. The scientists brought technical expertise. This unique partnership, combined with the political climate and secret location, allowed the project to flourish. It was a rare convergence: political will, strategic location, and a dedicated team. For a moment, the dream of Filipino technological independence seemed within reach. Caballo Island became the unlikely birthplace of the country's space ambitions. The stage was set for something extraordinary. And so, the countdown began. No project succeeds without its people. Project Hurricane was powered by a small, dedicated group of Filipino scientists, engineers, and naval officers. They were young, brilliant, and fiercely patriotic, working long hours in obscurity, driven by the promise of making history. At the heart was Dr. Gregorio Y. Zara, a physicist and engineer known for inventing the TV telephone. Zara's expertise guided a team of local and foreign-trained scientists, all eager to serve the nation. The Navy didn't just provide security, they were hands-on, designing, building, and testing rocket components. This military-civilian partnership was the engine of Project Hurricane. The team faced constant challenges, limited resources, secrecy, and the need to invent solutions from scratch. They couldn't order parts, they built their own. Creativity and resilience were their greatest tools. Together, they formed a unique community, bound by a common goal and the secrecy of their mission. They solved complex problems with ingenuity and grit. These dreamers in lab coats and uniforms are the forgotten heroes of this story. Their dedication turned the idea of a Filipino rocket into reality. They were pioneers, charting new territory for Philippine science and technology. Their work laid the foundation for future generations. Project Hurricane was their legacy, and their story deserves to be remembered. They proved that Filipino talent could reach for the stars. What was the Hurricane rocket? Not a moonshot, but a bold leap for the Philippines. Its goal developed solid propellant rockets, powerful, stable, and simpler than liquid-fueled designs. The rocket, named Bongbong after the president's son, was a two-stage vehicle. The first stage launched the rocket skyward, the second stage pushed it even higher. This multi-stage design, still used today, was ambitious for a starting program. The team faced immense technical challenges, creating reliable propellant, designing strong yet light casings, and ensuring stable flight. Every part was a puzzle, solved with local materials and ingenuity. The intended payload, scientific instruments to gather atmospheric data, crucial for weather forecasting and typhoon prediction. Project Hurricane was, at its core, a scientific endeavor. The rocket was a vehicle for knowledge, not just technology. The team aimed to build a rocket with a purpose, understanding our environment. Their work was a testament to vision and resourcefulness. They weren't just building rockets, they were building expertise. The Hurricane rocket was proof that Filipino science could take flight, and for a moment, it did. The true test of any rocket is the launch. On Caballo Island, the Hurricane team faced a series of tense, secret trials. Between 1972 and the mid-70s, several test launches took place, each a high-stakes gamble. Some rockets soared, reaching their target altitudes and proving the team's designs worked. For those present, seeing a Filipino-built rocket streak into the sky was a moment of pride and validation. But not every launch succeeded. Some rockets failed to ignite, exploded, or spun out of control. The biggest challenge, getting the two stages to separate and ignite perfectly. Each failure was a lesson, not a defeat. The team learned about chemistry, aerodynamics, and engineering, building a foundation of local expertise. Successes proved capability, failures taught humility and resilience. For a brief time, Caballo Island was the Philippines' own Cape Canaveral. The launches, whether triumphant or tragic, marked a giant leap for Philippine science. The Hurricane team pushed boundaries, learned from setbacks, and kept moving forward. Their trials of fire and air forged a new path for Filipino innovation. The dream was alive, if only for a moment, and then the engines fell silent. If Project Hurricane showed promise, why did it end? The answer? Shifting politics and economic hardship. By the late 1970s, the Philippine economy was in crisis. Priorities shifted from ambitious projects to urgent needs. The government's enthusiasm faded and funding dried up. The project, closely tied to President Marcos, lost support as his regime weakened. After the People Power Revolution, new leaders focused on democracy and debt, not secret rocket programs. The team was disbanded, the launch pad abandoned, and the blueprints shelved. Secrecy meant few knew or cared when it ended. Project Hurricane faded quietly, its story buried in memories and classified files. The dream went dormant, waiting to be rediscovered, but its legacy endured. For years, Project Hurricane was a rumor, nearly forgotten. But its legacy lived on in the scientists and engineers who carried their skills into new fields. They became mentors, spreading a culture of innovation and rigor. Today, the Philippine Space Agency and homegrown satellites like Diwata 1 and Maya 1 stand on the shoulders of these pioneers. Project Hurricane proves our ambition for space is not new. It's a dream we've chased for decades. The story is a lesson. Progress needs political will, funding, and long-term vision. It warns that scientific ambition is fragile, easily lost if not protected. Rediscovering Project Hurricane corrects the narrative. Filipinos are not just consumers but creators of technology. It's a source of pride and inspiration. Knowing Filipinos launched rockets 50 years ago should fuel our belief in our own capabilities. The Hurricane rocket is more than a relic. It's a symbol of a dream deferred, not defeated. Its spirit echoes in every new Filipino space endeavor. The legacy is alive. Project Hurricane is a story of the Filipino spirit, of daring to dream big and making do with what we have. The scientists and engineers were pioneers, igniting a spark for future generations. Their work declared that Filipinos belong in the conversation about technology's future. The lesson: value and support our scientists, invest in research and nurture innovation. The dream of a self-reliant, technologically advanced Philippines continues. The Hurricane rocket was not a failure, but a beginning, a bold first step. Today, as the Philippine Space Agency develops new capabilities, it walks a path first cleared by the Hurricane team. The echoes of those launches still inspire. This story is both inspiration and blueprint for the next generation. So, when you look up at the night sky, remember, 50 years ago, Filipinos tried to reach those stars. They built rockets, not just dreams. Project Hurricane is more than a memory. It's a challenge and a call to action. Our greatness is limited only by our ambition and will. The sky is not the limit. It never was.